These are 12 tips for young men. If you have a teen or young man that needs advice, this is the video for them. This is normally a business channel, yes. And even though this is not specific business advice, I think this is a few foundational elements that can help with a successful character in the future. Number one, hygiene is important. Oh Lord, some of these young men need assistance. Axe spray and cologne does not mask bad body odor. Those worn out jeans are not the style. And yes, we can tell if it's the Yeezy brand or torn Hanes from Foot Locker 4 for $20. Your presentation matters. Yes, people judge a book by its cover, and that's unfortunate, but you're not immune to this. Take effective showers, brush your hair, floss your teeth. Money may be limited, yes, but we can always tell when those favorite jeans has just had enough. You're in a stage of your life where you're looking for new opportunities. Don't let something as simple as a shave or bad breath prevent you from being in a circle of opportunity. I remember years ago when I was in high school, we were sitting on the block, and this just came to me when I was writing this script. There was this popular guy from the community that sat and always spoke to us. So this day he was really going, he was speaking about how to get girls and all the different things. He was just there mentoring us and doing little different things. And one of our friends showed up, and you can tell that the conversation changed. It started to like wind down. And when you really look at it, we were like, what's really going on? He stated that he had to go to a meeting. It was weeks after that we figured out, he said the guy that came over had really bad body odor. And because he had to do something that night, he didn't want to smell like that. He didn't want to take the chance if it got on him. We didn't know if that's how it works, but that was his excuse. Luckily by then we have told him and he did a little changes, but the last thing you want to be is that guy that messes up opportunity for everyone else. So if you're going to a social setting, try to at least smell pleasant. And if you can't, smell neutral. Number two, have contingencies on your contingencies. You need to know how to change a tire. You need to know how to jumpstart a car. Always have some type of emergency cash on you. I can't imagine how many people say, hey, I changed my jeans and now I don't have any money. I do something called an emergency 100. I just have a $100 bill that I fold and I put it somewhere in my car or somewhere that I can get at it really easily if I make a mistake or I leave the house without money or whatever. And always, always walk with a condom. The last thing you want is to have that feeling take over your judgment and later you're wondering, God, what did I do? If you have to, buy a 50-pack. You can put them in your house, in your apartment, put it in your car, your nightstand. You can put it in your wallet, put it in the couch. If you want, you can put it in the fridge. It sounds funny, yes, but the last thing you want is one night of pleasure to potentially mess up your entire future with an unplanned pregnancy or worse. Speaking of that, it leads me straight into number three. Learn the difference between infatuation and connection. Lust is infatuation. Connection is love. You need not only understand how it feels, but be able to identify how it feels from the opposite gender. These are critical steps. Now, I'm not a dating expert. There's a bunch of podcasts and online blogs that teaches men how to speak to girls. But what I would like to say is get your friends and family and circle involved early. Too many times back in the day, associates of ours been messing with some girl, and then when you look, by the time she's introduced to the group chat, he's in love and he's instantly getting roasted. Back in the day, we used to call this pulling her file. I don't know what it's called now. But before you get in love, you start to speak to a girl, you start to have these feelings, speak to your guy friends, speak to your family. Make sure that you can pull that file early to see if you're in for potential heartbreak. Number four, stand up for yourself. Don't allow yourself to live in fear. If you're bullied, trust me, living in fear of that bully is much worse than whatever physical confrontation or fight that you're trying to avoid. You probably only have to stand up to this person once, but then you're known as the kid that doesn't back down. Let me tell you a story from when I was in primary school. I went to Altair Scatliff School in the British Virgin Islands. This was about class 3 or 4. I really can't remember at the time. I was being bullied for about I think it was about a week. This guy was like 2 years older than me, but he always repeated a grade. So for some reason, he got focused on me. And I was like, okay, it happened one day. a little rough. It happened the second day, and then the third day he tried to take my lunch money. This was prime Nickelodeon 1990s days when those sitcoms with people taking lunch money and all that. I really didn't understand it, but it happened to me. So I asked my mom, hey, what do you think I should do? And she was like, hey, you really should reason with him. Tried that the next day, didn't work. I didn't want to ask my dad because I knew he was gonna tell me to fight. By the fourth day, I started to get hungry and I was like, no, this isn't gonna work. So I stood up to him. I remember the day when I was gonna stand up to him, something happened at lunch. I ended up having to leave the playground to do something else. But sure bet, 15 minutes later, there he was, and we were fighting. I fought, he didn't get my money, I'm still hungry, but let's see what happens tomorrow. End of day, no problems. Next day, no eye contact. Lunchtime, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I went away from him. I tried to move around, but he didn't pursue. Normally he would seek me out. He didn't do that this time. And I was like, all right, this made sense. Guess how much times I was bullied after that? Twice, for a total of 20 minutes, 10 minutes each. The moment your chest got a little too high, fight. It was a fight. And from then, no more. This happened like 2 years after, but that doesn't matter. No more. You stand up for yourself, you try to figure out what's going on. I'm not saying to impose violence, but if it gets to that point, you have to be ready for it. Allowing yourself not to live in fear also goes for girls too. Build your confidence by trying. If you like that girl, don't be afraid. Go right up to her, ask her. She might like you too. I remember in high school, it was so hard for me to talk to girls. First, second form, we used to beat around the bush and try to get them alone. One day I was like, I sat in my bed and I said, yo, Sinclair, you know the worst thing she can tell you is no, right? So the next day I asked, obviously I got that no, I wasn't confident enough. But then I realized no one died, the world didn't stop, nothing happened. I was a little embarrassed, but guess what? Tommy was embarrassed last week too. I didn't see Tommy any different. So what can you do? You just keep get a little bit of no's under your belt, and then eventually you'll realize that yes, it's so much easier to get. You build that confidence, and then you can get that yes later in life when it matters the most. Be the voice of reason. If you are fortunate enough to be an extroverted alpha with social skills, try to help the people that are not having it so easy navigating these waters. Now, I don't mean get a hero complex and insert yourself in every situation you see. But if you can stop something from happening or prevent it in the future, you can try to see if the people have enough respect for you, what you've built up with social proof, to kind of make the world a better place. Especially people that never troubled anyone. As we say in the Caribbean, you can't mash ants. If you're that powerful, you can create an environment in the first place that's not conducive to destructive behavior. A hangout, a section at a party, a study session, whatever it is, when these guys know, if you come in this little area, anything that happens in here, you got to deal with me. So try, if you have this power early on in life, to have some type of morals and integrity and create safe spaces for people around you that trust you and always want to be around you. Number 6, fail early. I'm not an advocate of failure, but the emotions of a misstep or a setback are real. And it's better to never experience it if you don't have to. But inevitably when you do, it's better to fail early. You have less bills on the line, less money, less reputation, less children it affects, and there's the less expectation of the outcome overall. I mentioned earlier about speaking to girls and dealing with rejection. This is 10x worse. Try things, do things, fail, watch others fail, learn from them, and when it matters most, you'll shine. Remember, failing doesn't mean you're a failure. You're only a failure when you decide not to try again. Number 7, stop complaining constantly. It's a weak trait, and people really don't want to hear about your problems. Have you ever had a friend that, oh, here comes Johnny again? I bet 1 minute he's gonna make the conversation about him, and he's gonna find something to complain about. We're looking for a job, Johnny has a job, complain about the job. We want girls, Johnny has a girlfriend, complain about the girlfriend. Johnny, how many things do you want, bro? Like, stop complaining, stop being a whiny crybaby, and try to figure out and be thankful for the things that you actually have. All right, number 8, prepare for death. I know it's a hard one to think about, but inevitably, if you're a man in your family, especially if you're the only boy like I am, inevitably when things go wrong, people look to you for advice. It's according to how old you are at the time, but unfortunately, these things happen unexpectedly. With me, I had a parent that was dying, and we had to deal with that emotionally, but when it actually happened, we were kind of prepared for it because of the situation. But other people are not that lucky. And it sounds funny calling it lucky, but other people things just happen and they're gone, and you have to deal with that. So inevitably, you should figure out a way to deal with this type of stress, because the last thing your family wants, or that loved one that left you want, is that you don't come a contributing member to society because of that tragic event. You gotta live by a code. All young men have a code. Some are just not cemented there. So it's easy for you to flip-flop. You need to have some morals, integrity, and work ethic that doesn't change based on the situation. It's your code. For instance, for me, I would never hit a woman out of anger. That's not because society told me not to. It's just something I don't want to do myself. I won't raise my hand to my parents. It's something that I just never saw myself doing. When I sit in the dark at night, I have to live with those decisions, and I chose that I don't want to. I also won't have any sexual relation with any of my friends' girlfriends or wives. No dancing, no texting, no inappropriate jokes, none of that. Even if you present it to me on a platter, the answer is no. It had nothing to do with her or even him. It's just I said in my life, if you are in my inner circle, something like this could never happen. You pick the things you cherish and want to live by, make that code, and stick with it. Hopefully the things that you choose are morally sound and have integrity. Just stick with it. Don't major in minor things. Stop adding focus on things that don't improve your life. Google high net worth individuals and you can see they master things like sales, engineering, medicine, entrepreneurship, something. Avoid concentrating on things like the best street racer or the best drag racer or the best gamer. Yes, there's a lot of people that make money in esports, but there's also a lady that made a lot of money selling air from a mountain. Don't just look at what is possible, look at what is probable and stick with that. Possibility is anything that can happen. If you think it's possible to train and go to the NBA and beat the all-time scoring record like LeBron James, fantastic. Have your dream. It's possible. But if you're a 16-year-old 5-foot tree guy that's never shot a free throw before, it's highly improbable. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not saying don't believe in your dreams. But you have to decide if you have a handicap, you have to work twice as hard. So take stock in reality before you attempt to break these certain barriers. Muggsy Bogues did it, and now he's cemented in history. Be careful with self-doubt. It's easy to start to compare yourself with others. Your family does it all the time. They go like, hey Jimmy, why can't you be like cousin Paul? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you're not good enough because you're not as far ahead today. You haven't even started yet. The worst hasn't even happened to you yet. You want to go to college, or do you want to work? Or do you want to own a business? What do you want to do? Do you want to go backpacking through Europe? Trust me, you have time. It doesn't seem like it now because everyone is rushing to kind of get into place with the pressure from society. But trust me, you have time. Society and family puts a large amount of pressure on young men to have it figured out, when sometimes in themselves at that age, they didn't have it figured out. Some of them don't even have it figured out right now. But you need to understand that it's coming from a place of love. They understand that the world is a dangerous place, and they know you can navigate it better if you have a plan and some type of code to live by, so you can fight against the world's adversities. It's also okay to do activities by yourself. Shows, conferences, trips, vacations. Sometimes your circle doesn't have interest in the same things that you do, and that's okay. You're figuring out what you like, and so are they. But you know there's gonna be times when you have to leave everything else behind and attend the things you love. Because guess what's gonna happen? Other people that love that thing is attending as well. And that's your kin. That's the people that you want right now. If you like magic and none of your friends do, Guess who likes magic? The people at the magic show that you're gonna miss because your friends that don't like magic don't wanna go. So stop skipping activities because your friends don't like it. You might be missing your next best friend at that activity. So if these 12 things were able to help you or a friend, share the video, send it to someone that you don't really know how to talk to, but you kind of want them to hear it. Send it to them, tag them, do whatever it needs to do. But my name is Sinclair Fleming. These were tips for young men. Now, go take action.